Hello and welcome to our second episode of the Challenge League Base Special. Well, it's the D-Day. The ICC Men's Cricket World Cup Challenge League Base officially starts today. Well, who better still to get us started than, of course, the hosts, Uganda. Uganda will bowl off the competition against Singapore. But unlike the initial schedule, the game will take place at Entebbe Cricket Oval. My name is Malenga Marion, and for this particular episode, I'll be joined by Adonia Waibale. Adonia, good morning.
Good morning, Marion.
How are you doing?
Very excited.
The opening game was supposed to take place in Logogo.
Mm.
Were you surprised that the game has been shifted to Entebbe?
Not really. I think given the struggles with rain, the weather is quite wet. I mean, we're experiencing winter in Uganda. Not rare. So a great call to actually make sure that cricket is played on this particular day. But I would like to see what would happen tomorrow in case there is rain on the forecast as well.
Obviously, Logogo is well known as the home ground for for Uganda, cricket ground for Uganda. And if the game had been in Logogo, obviously it would attract very many fans and all that. But being the opening game, of course, Uganda has been the hosts. How much of importance is the 12th man for this particular game?
I think suddenly the 12th man won't be, in the mammoth numbers because the game was shifted to Entebbe. But we're still going to have quite a number of people show up. I think we've already seen a few fans already trickling in. But rather Lugogo and just being so close to town certainly would have meant that a lot of people can escape from work, come and catch a bit of cricket and then go back, back and forth between work and Lugogo. So suddenly the 12th man will be missed.
Yeah, we can only hope they can track wherever they'll be coming from. But let's get to the the game proper, and obviously we don't know who is starting. But you as a Donia, as a fan who also played cricket formerly, who would you love to see in the team start for Uganda?
Well, first of all, I think I would like to categorically state that team composition, will always be determined by opposition, and that's just a little bit of my experience. So, looking at the formation of Singapore, and Team Uganda would then need to actually put up a team that can actually, take on Singapore. But just looking at the kind of form that the players have been having, and the kind of performances that they've been having. They've been struggling to get that chemistry right.
Yeah.
But I would definitely like to see Robinson Obuya at the forefront with Raghav Dawani, Shudip Mangela at one drop. Brian Masava incidentally plays very late, but I think he would do a very good, a bang-up job right there in the middle at number 4. But I think that's an area that Riyazat Alisha has sort of cordoned off. So I'd put Riyazat Alisha right around the same. Kenneth Waiswa. Incidentally, the last time we played Singapore, Kenneth Waiswa was the top run scorer for Uganda. So having him at the middle there, he batted late back in 2018, but I would like to see him somewhere in the middle. And then Dinesh Nakrani to come in around 6, and then Brian Masaba around 7. And then from there on, we'll get into Juma Miyagi, and then maybe Cosmas Cheuta, and then maybe Frank Suvuga or Henry Senyondo. Yeah.
Obviously, if Uganda won the toss,
Yeah.
what would you want us to do? Considering the condition of the pitch.
Well, we're yet to actually know what kind of pitch, but knowing Entebbe, Entebbe has actually grown into to become one of Uganda's best grounds. Historically, a very decent batting track. So the conditions are quite a little bit of moisture. The ground is a little bit wet, a little bit of dew, so the ball could get heavy from the dew. So suddenly, I would like Uganda to bowl fast, just to try and get that advantage of the morning dew. But depending on how the wicket plays, I think batting might also not be a very bad thing, because the wicket might get tired in the day and bat much worse in the afternoon.
Yeah. Okay. If let's say we've chosen to bat first or whatever we choose, and during our innings, Uganda's innings, obviously the top order and the middle order collapses so fast. Who would you want to have at the lower order, to salvage the game?
I think I earlier on mentioned that Brian Masaba has, in my opinion, is one of those batsmen who can actually tidy up things right in the middle in case we have a collapse. But I think Brian Masaba and Fred Achalam could actually be the batsmen who can anchor Uganda's sinking ship around the middle order. So I would have Brian, who plays quite slow, but a very, very good head on his shoulder. So I would think he'll be the man to try and clean up. Yeah.
Whereas of late, Juma Miyagi has become that kind of, he's a bowler, but he's become that kind of a guy that, a player that salvages the game, towards the tail end. Don't you think he would have a say in the game if need be?
I think he can, but we're playing 50 overs and non 20 overs. I think he's predominantly used to the 20 over format. So the kind of temperament and patience required for the 50 over might be a little bit challenging, but that's not to say that he's a rabbit with the bat. Suddenly, I think he top scored for Uganda in the under-19s a couple of years back. So he's very, very able with the bat. But the kind of head you need for a 50 over, Juma Miyagi likes to express himself.
He's very explosive.
Yeah, very, a very explosive player. So I'm not quite sure, but I think he can certainly contribute.
Yeah. Obviously, when you look at the most recent meetings, between Uganda and Singapore, Uganda do have an edge. They've since between 2014 and 2018, they've won 2 games. That was at the ICC Cricket Challenge. The Div 3 judo. Does this give any confidence to the cricket cranes, heading into this game?
I think a lot has changed over time, but certainly for any game, having that edge over opposition certainly should give any team a bit of confidence. But like they say, cricket is a game played on that day, regardless of the history and the pedigree that you have. Cricket is a game played on that day. We did see Afghanistan, rather disappoint a lot of teams in the World Cup. So depending on how that day is played, whoever plays best will take the day. But that said, I think coming into this game, Uganda are a team that is trying to recompose itself. Singapore seems like a team that has been playing together for a while, looking at their lineup. So suddenly they seem better poised to actually clinch the day. But to answer your question directly, Marion, I think the real advantage here will be that Uganda is playing from home. Yeah.
I know we spoke about the captain, Razat Alisha, in our very first episode. But when you look at the last time we played, obviously, Singapore, Rizzo was one of the top, the best players for Uganda, as far as the ball is concerned. He picked 3 wickets. And then, of course, he's the only player we have there. Also, Deus Mohamed, the former, vice captain, but obviously he's no longer in the team. Do you think Rizzo could turn out to be, the X factor?
He definitely has what it takes to be the X factor. He can, dent any team. But I think him being captain, he will play more of a supportive role. I think even in the Bahrain series and even the games preceding, I think we've seen that he's been very, very. He's held himself back a lot more, especially with the ball, to try and just command the proceedings. But he will certainly have a contribution as captain. And my biggest hope that he can actually contribute with the bat as well. I think that is where we really need him. Not so much with the ball this time around. I mean, he's got a lot of bowling options to go around, so he has just enough stock to make sure that the job is done.
Well, we hope so. But the other, aside from obviously you're going to being a host of the tournament, the other significance of this tournament is, it's a route to Uganda attaining the ODI. Maybe just a bit of explanation there. After this round, we'll have, if Uganda happens to to qualify, we'll have the qualifiers, playoffs, and then after that, to get to attaining the ODI is Uganda has to qualify for the qualifiers, the real qualifiers. Do you think this is attainable? I know you know the fact that we still have 2 more stages, to get to that part.
Yeah, I think it's very attainable, and for Uganda, it's been a long time coming. But I think Uganda will go into this tournament with a lot of confidence, having made it to the World Cup. So suddenly, it is something that Uganda has, pursued for a very long time, and I think it's about time it came to fruition. But Uganda's got to do a lot of things right, especially with how we go about, stuff on the green. But also in terms of the coaching staff and the technical staff, I think Uganda has taken care of business in that department. So it would definitely mean a lot for Team Uganda to actually get to that stage, because it's something that they've pursued for a very long time.
Sure, we hope so. Adonia, finally, what is your prediction? This is the opening game. What are you going for?
Well, I'm going to base my argument on history and having watched quite a number of tournaments with Uganda playing. Uganda is a team that needs that builds into tournaments. Yeah. So depending on how today goes, it would certainly set the pace or the momentum for the whole tournament. And Uganda has lost a lot of fast games, over the last tournaments that they've played, and I'm tempted to say that we might see that happen again. But I think looking at the kind of form that the team has had, the Bahrain series, the PNG series, and in South Africa, we might get surprised that Uganda wins its first game
Yes.
in a tournament after a very long time.
Well, you heard it from the man himself. But the fact that Uganda loves playing outside home and the fact that this is Entebbe far away from town, there's a possibility that very few fans will turn up. Maybe that will turn out to play as an advantage for Uganda. They will play less under pressure. Well, we hope you enjoy the game. We'll get back to you, after the game. See you then.